green pastures and still waters. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me right paths for his name's sake. And even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely your goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. A car ride to an island down East Maine, and then a boat excursion to a smaller island. Away from it all. Away from the noise, away from the busyness, away from the news and the sadness and the worries and life troubles. To a place where the seagulls and the lobster pots and salty air are plenty. My family and I climbed on the mailboat in Northeast Harbor with others carrying their assorted stories. We all sat with anticipation between the backpacks and sleeping bags and day lunches and sun hats and sunscreens and the U.S. postal letters and packages going to all the different islands off the main island. The boat ride to Little Cranberry, Isleford, was only a short distance, but it felt a world away, a portal to another realm of existence. We looked out over to the diamonds dancing on the waves and the colorful buoys bouncing with abundance and the silhouette of seagulls flying on the horizon. Well, it was like a transitional invitation to a new way of being, a threshold of hope provided by the Creator, a song of living the sacred in the in-between. I gazed at my family, taking each one of their sun-kissed faces and the uniqueness they bring into this world. And gratitude settled in my heart. I turned to my husband and I said, "Oh, can we just live in this moment and bottle it up and take it with us?" This wasn't green pastures or still waters, yet God was leading us somewhere and restoring our souls. Psalm 23 is typically reserved for funerals, a hymn of comfort on the threshold of death and dying, a secular icon that many have memorized, much like the Lord's Prayer. Children learn it in Sunday school. You might remember it when you were in Sunday school or when you first learned it, or maybe you've heard it recently. The poetry is beautiful. Big thoughts packed into 6 verses, the powerful metaphors leave room for the reader's interpretations and imagination. The listener, transported by the imagery to a restorative habitat, carried by God into a realm of heavenly existence and promise. The psalmist captures God's steadfast ability to fulfill the Holy One's role as a shepherd, as a provider, a comforter, a spiritual guide, with rod and staff, offering everything for this new destination, for this new way of being. And oftentimes this reading is interpreted as a desired destination. What happens if we were to interpret the reading as more of a passageway, a pause, a threshold, an invitation of in-betweens, a reminder of all will be well, as Julian of Norwich once spoke about and wrote about? She was a 14th century mystic who heard those words from our Creator in a dream and embodied it in her ministry. She was known to hold both suffering and joy together, and for having a deep trust in the Lord. He leads me in right path, the psalmist reminds us, for his name's sake. And even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Scholars believe this song of hope was written and sung post-exile, as the people returned to the land of Israel, in unity, in community. God guides the people through the difficult journey from Babylonia, a transitional place. The impact of this psalm cannot be fully experienced unless one understands there is lament behind the words. Psalm 22, the psalm before this, posits the depth of the suffering experienced by the Israelites and the ushering in of God's provision of love, and the floodgates of praise and intimacy widens. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from helping me from the words of my groaning? Oh, my God, I cry by day, but you do not answer, and by night, but find no rest. Many bulls encircle me, strong bulls of Bashan surround me. They open wide their mouths at me like a ravening and roaring lion. These words may sound familiar to you. They're the words that Jesus spoke on the cross and are considered part of the 7 last words of Christ. Can you remember a time when you were so heartbroken, felt utterly, completely alone and exhausted? Or you felt evil closing in on you, encircling you? Maybe you're in one of these times in your life now. Or perhaps you can just imagine what it's like. We get a glimpse of this quite frequently. Being human is hard. Navigating this earthly world is hard. The Israelites sang to Yahweh through their tears in desert lands and brokenness. The Lord is my shepherd, they sang. He leads me to right paths, even through the darkest valley. I fear no evil. You are with me. Your rod and staff comfort me, guiding and prodding us to safety. God's radical act of hospitality meets and invites the weary traveler who is in the threshold of pain and healing, and provides a banquet of sacred nourishment, a communion of oneness offered in the presence of the circling enemies, gnashing their teeth at you, and anoints your head with oil, sealing your safety with blessings and belovedness and healing, and offers an overflowing cup of love, reminding the traveler who they are and whom they belong to. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I should dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. Our loving God provides and assures us we are not alone. We are a part of God's sacred creation, existing within and among the rhythm of the vulnerable seasons of life and death and resurrection and everything in between. The intimacy and covenantal relationship between the Creator and creation is clear. The immense gratitude to dwell in God's household of creation is expressed in this hymn and our collective voices, and in our gatherings, a congregation of God's people. Friends, we are in a difficult, confusing, fast-paced, trauma-informed, anxiety-producing time in our human history. The constant news and social media clips and notifications and online stories and reels and images and AI press releases, well, it can feel like lions circling us. The gnashing teeth of never-ending injustices and politics and hate and tragedies and hypocrisies are too much and can feel like we're being consumed and eaten in the darkest valley, if we let it. Our personal sadness and grief and physical mental challenges are consuming enough. Balancing demands and expectations of work and family and illnesses and medical bills and addiction and cancer and Lyme disease, surgeries and memory loss, and just trying to be healthy and drink clean water, navigating the loss of loved ones and the worries of young ones. How are we to manage the everyday demands? How are we to raise our voices and respond beyond our limited view? How are we to step up and speak out when we feel so exhausted? When we crave green pastures and still waters? We crave just to have a moment to be in God's glory. We do not have to travel far to experience this divine love. We don't have to be on a boat to a deserted island or just go very far. The invitation is always before us. It's a standing invitation. We just need to pause and turn down the volume of the world and step away into the doorway of the holy, turning our gaze towards the beauty of creation. God meets us wherever we are, especially in the threshold places between despair and hope. The psalmist threads the ancient words into a hymn, gifting us today, thousands of years later, with present-day blessings, acknowledging the lament behind the poetry of words. This threshold of hope, a song of living the sacred, is provided by the Creator, a gift of assurance that no matter what, all will be well. The table is prepared, the oil is ready, and the overflowing cup of love is poured, waiting. Friends, you are never alone. You are loved. You are a part of God's beautiful, amazing creation. The Creator created you and will not abandon you. Pause and breathe and rest your weary body into the transition, into the pathway of green pastures and still waters. For surely goodness and mercy will follow. For this is where our hearts dwell together. For this is where we dwell in the house of the Lord. And this is where we find hope, our whole life long.